I am Emily Ward with AALU, joined by
Mike James. Yes.
MJ, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
let's jump right in. Tell us a little bit about how you got started in the profession, what launched your career.
Oh my goodness. How did I start in this profession? Well, I was asked to apply for a summer internship program with John Hancock. And Hancock at the time in the city of Boston, in the neighborhood I grew up in, was the company. It had the coolest building. It was in the coolest location. And, at the time when I was introduced to the summer internship program, I have to admit I had no idea this industry would hold. I had no idea how deep and broad life insurance was to financial security, but getting in on the ground floor of an internship was really valuable for the rest of my career.
Awesome. So was there any kind of turning point or light bulb moment in your career which kind of changed tracks?
When I got full-time employment was the light bulb. No, I would say as a part of the internship program, Hancock did a really good job of aligning you with mentors. And so I got a mentor for the first time. Other than family members that took an interest in keeping me out of trouble, this was the first time in a professional environment I had somebody that really wanted to see me do well, wanted to share their experiences with me, and wanted to make sure I had the benefit of their historical perspective about being a young African-American professional in this industry. So, and that was in 1991 when that happened.
So why is, diversity important in this profession? Why is it a priority?
I think, first of all, I think diversity today stands for, in my opinion, perspectives. You want to be in an environment where you have different walks of life, different ethnic backgrounds, gender diversity. You want those perspectives because it will stress test anything that you're going to deliver. It will stretch your thinking because people that come from different backgrounds, different walks of life, view things differently, and I think it helps you make an ultimate good decision. I think people are afraid of the word because our country's history was so, we had a checkered past. We had lots of very stressful events that took place historically. And so anytime diversity is brought up, it resurrects all of those bad times, feelings, and insecurities. But I think the more we bring it up, the more we talk about it's inclusive of all races, all walks of life, different generations, different demographics, I think then you start to realize how powerful the word is.
So tell us about challenges, not necessarily, diversity-related challenges, but just challenges in your career. What have you faced and then what have you overcome?
Well, I faced a lot. Boy, we don't have enough time today to get into all that. But I think the thing, when I got married and I became a dad, I think the responsibility of being in a leading role in my household was probably the most critical point in my life. Now I had my wife, my children dependent on what I was doing. It's different when you're working for yourself and you're kind of living in a bachelor pad and you kind of go and come as you please. But when you have to make decisions and preempt decisions that your family will need you to make, that's when things get serious. That's when every decision, every move you make at work counts, not just today, but into the future. And so for me, becoming a father, becoming a husband was really important. That changed how I saw things. It changed my motivations. It changed how much time I spent thinking about what my next move was going to be.
So tell us a little bit about AALU, how you got started in AALU, kind of your journey there.
Oh man, I've been coming to AALU for over 2 decades, and my first exposure to AALU was working in a marketing capacity at John Hancock, and so I was an exhibitor. So you come to this rock star industry meeting, and you're exhibiting, so you're kind of shaking hands, taking names, talking to clients of the company at the time, not really understanding the magnitude of the association and the reach that it had. I have to admit, I was impressed with the agenda. I was impressed with the speakers. I was impressed with how they could capture the essence of Washington, D.C., all in an effort to kind of motivate you to go now defend the profession, up on Capitol Hill. It didn't click early on. It was just kind of, I was going through the motions. I would say about 5 years ago, it really clicked. I'd gone up on the Hill and I sat in a couple of the sessions with congressmen and senators, and I realized that we're there. We're at the point of impact. We actually have a voice. We actually have a seat at the table. And that's when things really turned for me. That's when I realized it was not just a process. This was a duty now. I sit here 28 years later, after entering the business formally, and now realizing what a great honor it is to stand up for the profession, what a pleasure it is to go talk to legislators about something I love, and just how cool it is to kind of get dressed up and go up on the Hill and go talk to these men and women who are just like us. They're superheroes in their own right, but they're very common, simple individuals that just want to understand what our issues are.
So you talk about having a seat at the table and how important that was, being in those meetings. Mm-hmm. How did AALU prepare you to be there? Did you feel good?
Oh my God, AALU is incredible. I was looking at my Capitol Hill Club app, a little while ago, and everything is spelled out. The self-study materials, the track you will run on when you're there. They partner you up with people that know the issues intimately. And I will admit, it's intimidating to walk into a legislator's office wearing a badge, representing a profession, and being asked to participate. It's intimidating because you don't want to screw it up. You don't want to say something or mischaracterize something that's out of sync with AALU's initiatives. But they do prepare you, and they do partner you up, and they do make, and you don't have to say anything. You have to be there. You have to stand arm in arm with your colleagues, but you should, the first couple times, be really good listeners. Just make sure you're absorbing the magnitude of why you're there. But they prepare you so well that you can't help it. You get in the room and you go, I got something to add to that. And you throw in a little 2 cents here and there.
I can imagine you would jump in.
Oh, yeah. I jumped in pretty fast. You pick your spots. It's okay to follow someone else's lead. There are people that have put hundreds of hours in on a volunteer basis. They've given up resources they've earned in this profession to stand behind the efforts of AALU, and they walk the walk. And so when you see a Gib Searles and you're sitting in a meeting with Gib, or you're standing next to Chris Morton, and Chris has been up there 1,000 times, laying the foundation. Now he brings someone from the profession to represent that tangible interest. That's cool.
So you mentioned defending the profession, mm-hmm. and at AALU, and one of our priorities when it comes to advocacy is switching from defense to offense,
yes.
and kind of getting to a position where we can actually promote the profession.
Yeah.
Why do you think that's important?
Well, it's important. Tax reform was a stark reminder that at any moment a bill could be introduced, and the sweep of a pen could change everything we know today. That was really evident a couple years ago. And It's just you could lose it at any moment, so you have to stay vigilant about the profession. Um, Things are fluid around this industry, so you just have to make sure you're on your game now because things change very quickly.
So talk a little bit about AALU's content and access to legislative insights and regulatory analysis. How can AALU members leverage that in their own practices?
So this whole meeting is about transforming. When I think of transforming, I think of all the mediums that people in our industry have access to. And you don't know which one is going to trip someone's trigger. You don't know if it's a social media post. You don't know if it's the Pulse communication, the newsletter. You don't know if it's someone coming back from a meeting that says, here's what's going on. You don't know if it's a conference call. We just have to now broaden our communication efforts at AALU and deliver them consistently. And people in the profession will figure out what makes sense. But I think messaging is really, really important, and we've got to be very consistent, and it's got to come faster than it ever did before. We can't wait for the next Transform meeting. There has to be so much activity that is allowing people to engage from now till the next meeting in order to mobilize the tens of thousands of people that need to be mobilized.
So just what has AALU meant to you? What has your membership meant to you?
Well, my membership, I look at it as a badge of honor now. After 28 years in the business, seeing things from a sales perspective, having sold the product, serviced the product, now market the product. I've done just about everything in the profession you can do over that 28-year period. And now to stand here as a board member, or sit here as a board member, to represent us with a very influential legislator. I happen to be the ambassador for one of the ambassadors for Chairman Neal, Richie Neal, Democrat from Massachusetts, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud that he knows my name. I know his name, beyond just kind of, knowing him as a political figure. We share the same alma mater, so we have a little link in common. And he's passionate about the things that I'm passionate about. Retirement security, protection products are the root to retirement security. And so, again, AALU has put me in that position to experience that. So it's a badge of honor for me. I'm proud to wear. I don't have on my little deal, but I have my little ribbons. When I was checking in today, I was like, where's my platinum ribbon? Where's my board member ribbon? I need to wear it proudly. All my little buttons, I'm like jingling, walking through the hall. It's pretty cool.
So last question, you mentioned, sales and servicing products.
Yeah.
When was a time that you really felt like you made a difference in someone's life?
This is probably not the answer you want. It happens every day for me. I happen to be a part of a leadership group inside of an organization that has hundreds of constituents that sell sell the product, deliver advice on a daily basis. I'm constantly involved with decisions that are being made. We're constantly involved being advocates for those advisors. So it isn't a moment in time. It's every day. I don't know when an email's coming. I don't know when a voicemail's coming. I don't know when I'm being asked to go to a meeting. I don't know when I'm going to be asked to help them solve a problem that is a barrier to them making a living. Like, that happens all the time. So I don't have something from last year. I don't have something from the year before. It's happening every day. And I love it. That's what gets me up. It's kind of a flame that burns without fuel. Like, I'm always on.
Awesome. I think that's great. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, MJ.
Thank you. AALU.